Crows fans, I'm Jock O'Connell.
And I'm Katrina Gill, and this is the Crows News Update brought to you by RAA, where we'll bring you up to speed with all the latest from West Lakes ahead of the club's first home game of the season against the Western Bulldogs on Saturday night.
But before we take a look at that game, we've got some injury news on Rick Henderson and Will Young.
Yes, mixed news for those two boys. We caught up with Hendo earlier to get the latest on his recovery from a heavy knock he sustained against the Suns.
Pulled up pretty well from the hit, and I was a bit worried early on that the head might have been a little bit of strife, but I pulled up right, the head's all right. Trained today and got through all right, so all the physical contact and everything was fine, so I got through all right.
The news wasn't as good for Will Young. He injured his shoulder playing for Norwood on the weekend. Now it's the opposite shoulder to the one he had reconstructed a couple of years ago. Now here's Stephen Schwert with the latest on that injury.
Will hurt his shoulder last week in the game for Norwood. He dislocated it. He's seen a surgeon, and at the moment it hasn't been decided yet whether he'll have surgery or not. There's a possibility he could rehab it, and he might come back in 4 or 5 weeks. Or it may be decided that he needs to have surgery. So that decision will be made probably in the next week or so. We're not in any real rush. We'd rather just take our time and make sure we make the right decision for Will, and then we'll make a call. But it could go either way at the moment. Yeah.
Good news for Hendo there, but unfortunate for Will Young, who's had a couple of injury-riddled seasons on the Crows senior list. Let's hope we'll see him back out on the track soon.
Now, I should commend you on your dream team tip last week, Jock. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to you and put Dane Swan as my captain, but Scott Thompson would have been a pretty handy choice with 135 dream team points. Fair to say he doesn't mind Metricon Stadium, averaging 45 posies in his 2 games there. And speaking of Scott Thompson, he'll reach a significant milestone on Saturday night.
That's right, Katrina. Scotty Thompson is set to play his 200th AFL game on Saturday night. He played 27 games with Melbourne before crossing over to the Crows in 2005, and he's fast become one of the most prolific ball winners in the competition, so we wish him well on Saturday night.
You can buy tickets to see Tomo in his 200th game through Ticketmaster or by logging on to afc.com.au and following the links. There's also a chance to see the players up close and personal and maybe get an autograph or two at an open training session on Friday. Now, it is a public holiday for Good Friday, so head along to Amy Stadium from 10:30am.
And conditions look to be fantastic on Saturday night. It'll be in the mild 20s, so get along and see the boys get it done.
Don't forget, for all the post-match coverage of the Crows' clash with the Dogs, including player interviews, log on to afc.com.au. You can also follow the action on Twitter through the club's official account at Adelaide_FC or by liking us on Facebook.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week and get along to the footy.
It's been a Crows News Update brought to you by RAA, the insurance you can trust.